My topic is on child participation in development programming, sharing a few lessons that we have learned studying child participation as a strategy of development programming. We took our samples in some states selected from southern Nigeria. In summary, what my paper is talking about is that to realize the fullest potentials of every children, we need three key inputs. Number one is the program that is designed to target the children. And number two is the important aspect, the budget. When the program is designed, the budget is important to give life to it. And then policy. Policy provides the guidance. It provides the general guidance to enable program and budget to be able to enable the child achieve their fullest potentials. So what I'm saying here is a mix of policy and budget and program with through child participation as a strategy is the way to be able to realize the fullest potentials of a child. Child participation in development programming, what does it actually mean? It contributes to the building of life skills in children and adolescents as well. Adolescents are defined by United Nations as persons between ages 12 and 19. And children are defined as between 0 and 18 by the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. So child participation principles help to infuse or to inculcate decision-making skills early in the life of a child. It enables them to enhance critical thinking. By getting children involved in development programming, they begin early in life to learn how to look at issues from different perspectives, and that enables them to develop the skill that is called critical thinking, which will be very useful in adulthood. It also improves self-esteem when they are given the opportunity to participate in one way or the other to make their inputs. When we listen to their voices and actually mainstream their voices into the programming process, enables them have a sense of achievement. So it promotes self-esteem and enhances their self-worth while they are still children and adolescents, and that is important also when they get into adulthood. And then it prepares them for meaningful contribution to nationhood. When the decision skills are acquired through this process of child participation principles, when they enhance their critical thinking, improve self-esteem and self-worth, in adulthood, they are able to use these components of character to contribute effectively to nation building. And so, when development is done through the lens of child participation as a strategy, that development is surer to become more sustainable. We are surer of tomorrow when the young ones, when the children of today are involved in development. We are surer of sustaining the development far into the future. And this study is actually based on the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, which is called CRC. It has 54 articles. This is an international convention to which 154 countries have signed onto. There are 4 baskets of rights, the way we call them, that are found in this article, in this international convention, the CRC. Those 4 groups or baskets of rights are: number 1, survival. And survival talks about how to ensure that the government does all that is within their powers to reduce child morbidity and child mortality. And once those are taken care of, the next group is development. As the child survives, then we are working to ensure the development of the child. And this development includes psychomotor, includes physical, includes everything: the mind, the spirit, the body. That is development rights. The child has a right to development. And then the child has a right to protection. The child should be protected from violence, from neglect, from all issues and situations around that affect the life and the development of the child. And then the number 3 is the protection, where the child should be protected from all of these hazards that hinder them from developing and achieving their fullest potential. And the 4th one is participation. So my paper is situated on the 4th component of the Child Rights Convention, participation. Methodology, we selected states, 2 states from, we have 6 geopolitical zones first in Nigeria, and I selected 2 states from 2 of the geopolitical zones. Southeast geopolitical zone has 5 states, 2 were selected, and South-South geopolitical zones has 6 states, and then 2 were selected using purposive sampling, which is a non-probabilistic sampling method. In each of these 4 selected states, 3 centers were chosen. Why did I choose 3 centers? Because each of the 36 states in Nigeria has 3 senatorial zones. So we chose these 3 centers to rhyme with the 3 senatorial zones so that the entire state, as it were, would be represented in the sample. And so, out of these 3 senatorial zones, we chose 1 urban center and 2 rural centers, so that we'll give more opportunity to children who are in the rural areas to participate in this and hear their voices, since they are more voiceless than those that live in the cities. 40 adolescents were selected between ages 12 and 19, which I had earlier mentioned is the definition of an adolescent by the United Nations. These were selected from communities of study with equitable representation across issues of gender, geography, and socioeconomic status. Then we went to the field and we had focus group discussions first, and got the children in a plenary and let them understand what child participation is about, the concept of child participation, and then the strategy of involving children in development programming through child participation as a strategy. Once we did that and let them understand what we were talking about, then we divided them into 4 groups. And each of the groups were appointed an adult who was facilitating. And then the questionnaires were administered on them. First, the questions were explained to them, particularly in the rural area, where learning achievement is relatively lower than the cities. It was important to explain the questions to them. And also, we had the challenge of language barrier in some of the rural areas, so we had to speak through interpreters to ensure that the children understood what we were talking about, because we had a mix of both in school and out of school children, and also children living with disabilities. We invited all of them so that they don't feel that oh, children are only those who are in school. That's the mix we had, and that was why it was necessary to interpret the questions, explain it very well for them to understand, and then allow them, giving them exercise books and pens to write their answers. And then what did we discover? In our assessment, we discovered that there were 3 issues that were statistically significant in determining the quality of effective child participation. And these were found to be age, sex, and socioeconomic status of parents or guardians. And so in age, we noticed that as the capacities of the children were evolving with age, within their families, within their communities, within their schools, then adults were more willing to listen to them and give them opportunity to air their views. Then sex, we discovered there's a gender issue there, because our study shows that more male children and adolescents were granted larger participation space than their female counterparts. And then socioeconomic status, here we mean that children from homes with higher economic status, we realize that they seem to have the ear of adults, both their parents and caregivers, and even their teachers, more than other children from homes of lower economic status. And children who reside in urban areas are more likely to enjoy more effective participation, perhaps due to higher educational level or economic status of parents who are domiciled in the cities. In our conclusion, we concluded that adoption of child participation principles in development programming issues assures development sustainable growth. If programming is participation sensitive, then you see there will be increase in sustainable ownership, in higher self-worth, in the confidence of the child, the life skills will be stronger, the child will be more assertive, and eventually become a creative leader in future. But if it is a program that doesn't care about children, doesn't take their issues into consideration, we will begin to discover that ownership will be weaker, self-worth will be lower, and confidence will be lower. Average low skills, life skills is what we're going to find. The child will be more timid, and actually a timid child is likely to become a timid adult in the future. And they might follow, but then without input, unimaginative, I call it. Future steps. I suggest that there's need to increase the sample size to be more effectively representative of the population for reasonable generalization of the study. This had to be taken within the constraints that we faced in conducting this study. But we were thinking that if resources were more available and samples were larger, then we can reasonably generalize the results to cut across the entire country. Methodology could be modified also to extract more qualitative responses for better assessment of the effects of participation on children. If we make the methodology more robust, we will be able to have a better assessment. And then, currently studying children's perception of child poverty and its effect on their development. Yes, while I posted this paper, I was actually studying children's perception of child poverty and how it affects development. I have concluded that study now and finalizing the report.